Welcome to the Why Not podcast with me, Chrissy Hawkins. In a world where everybody always asks you why, I'm here to ask why not. I'm going to do that by breaking down the mindsets of guests and my own to figure out what makes people say, why not? Hey guys, welcome back to Why Not. So today's episode, I'm going to talk all about BMI. Do you know what it is? Have you done your BMI before? Have you found out? Have you been upset or displeased by what the results were? Well, today I'm going to go into a little bit in depth into some of the pros and cons, but mostly cons to be honest, and a few other things that you can do instead of BMI to check how you're getting on. And yeah, so it's a little solo quick episode. Hopefully you find this helpful, and remember, as ever guys, sit back and relax or walk and listen, but here's my episode all on BMI. Hi guys, welcome back to Why Not. So today I wanted to talk to you a little bit about BMI, and this stems from a conversation I had with some clients today recently in the gym, and I just wanted to kind of talk a bit about it and explain a bit more about it. So for those of you who don't know what BMI is, it stands for body mass index. So it's basically how your weight is in relation to your height. So according to the BMI scale, your weight should fall in a certain bracket if you are a certain height, which if you are under that, it means you're underweight and need to gain weight, and if you're over that, you are in the obese categories or overweight and need to lose weight. And it's kind of it's an interesting one in the sense that, like, I suppose it's an old way of doing things. Like, a lot of doctors would use BMI, and because of there is a correlation but not causation, so there is a correlation sometimes between weight and health issues. However, weight is not always the cause of health issues, and there's plenty of people who are heavier, for want of a better description, who have no health issues. So I'm not saying that they are one and the same. I mean, there has been correlation, which leads to a stigma on weight being the reason for a lot of medical issues. So in one situation, BMI has its uses, but to be honest, for most things, it's a little bit outdated, and it really doesn't take a lot of things into consideration. So basically, the times that it can be good is you've got someone who is statistically overweight in the obese category, in the very obese category, where their quality of life and their health is actually at the point where it's being affected by their weight. This can be used to, if we lower your your BMI, we can make things a lot better for you, as in make your quality of life better, this kind of thing. But for the majority of people, it's not very accurate. And the unfortunate thing is it's still kind of like a standard, when a lot of the time it doesn't really make sense. So in my own personal experience, I have spoken before about the time that I was 46 kilos. So according to BMI scale, I was still within, now I was on the lower end, I was close to underweight, but I was still within the parameters of a healthy weight for my size. Skip now to 10 years later, nearly about 10 years, I am 12 kilos heavier at the moment, and again, I'm still within the healthy levels for my height, but I'm actually on the borderline. I'm closer to the borderline of being overweight, which kind of doesn't make sense when, for me, I've put on a lot of muscle all the time over the years, and that's why I'm heavier, but I would consider myself healthier. And when I was in that other size, I was under eating, I was starving myself, it wasn't a good time. So obviously there is some flaws here. That's another thing about this. It just takes your height and weight, so it's not accounting for muscle weight. An example I love to give is, if you have two lads at 100 kilos, and one's like a rugby player and one's just, your sedentary couch potato, they're both going to show up with the same score in the BMI, yet the rugby player would train several times a week and they would be physically fit. A really good example is I decided to have a look at this and have an actual visual for you. So if you look at Ty Furlong, who plays rugby for Leinster in Ireland, he is 185 centimetres tall and he's 119 kilos. So if anyone's seen him, he's a big lad. He regularly plays 60 minutes plus of rugby on the pitch. He has been known to play a full 80 minutes, which is a lot for his position, but he also plays, so obviously as he is a professional, he's also training several days a week. He is BMI, even with his activity level, puts him in the obese category. So according to BMI, the optimum weight for his body is his height is anywhere between 63 and 85.6 kilos. So if you look at it that way, if you had him and another 120 kilo lad who sits on the couch all day, does nothing, you have two people there who are the same height, same weight, and one person is a professional athlete and the other person is just doesn't eat a lot or doesn't eat well and doesn't look after himself, for want of a better description. These two people are going to show up the same on the BMI. So that one is like a really massive flaw, I think, in the system. And the problem with this as well is it can really affect people who are working out and training, and if they don't know this can affect, like I had this, it basically came from a conversation where I was talking to two clients in the gym. They go to classes 4 or 5 times a week, both of them completely normal body types in my opinion. They're not, you wouldn't consider them overweight, and they both on the BMI are, because of their weight, are considered to be overweight or in the like overweight category. And for them, it made them feel really bad about themselves, because they're like, well, I'm coming to the gym all the time and I'm exercising and I feel good, but now according to this I'm overweight, so like what is the point of doing all this work when apparently I'm still just overweight? And that can be really demoralizing for people who have been training and maybe have been conscious about their weight for a long time, and they see like, oh yeah, I have made a difference, and they feel good about that, and then they check something like the likes of BMI and it's telling them, oh yeah, well, you're wasting your time. So I feel really, really bad when I see this, and I think that's why it can't be the standard really anymore. And I know we need a kind of standard way, but the issue is people are not standard. We are different. People are built differently, and as I was saying at the start, just because you're in a larger body does not mean you're healthy. Some people are just built differently, and myself included. Like, I'm tiny. I would love to be a couple of inches taller, but that's something I can't control. And this is where I think people struggle when we're told like you should be this way for your height, but you can't get there. No matter what you do, you can't get there. And that's why I find it's like really, really like demoralizing for people who are working hard and are enjoying the fitness journey, but are now being told that, like, as I said, it feels like a waste of time. There's like, this gives me I think another reason that like ditching the scales, and like scales are not the be all and end all when it comes to how you mark your progress. And there's still so much focus on how the scales show up for us. It creates these emotional responses when you see a fluctuation that you're like, oh, why isn't it down? Why am I up a little bit? Why, and I've spoken about this before, like it can fluctuate so easily for so many different reasons. Like, if you get up in the morning, you can weigh yourself, you weigh a certain amount, you go to the toilet, you'll weigh less, you have your breakfast, you'll weigh more. If you're a girl, depending on the time of the month, you're gonna weigh less or more. So these things all come into it. But when it comes to the wellness and fitness industry, this isn't spoken about, because how can they sell you products if you're comfortable with your weight? I think we really do need to move away from this kind of weight being your like be all and end all, your standard. I always speak about these a lot, and again, this is something that came up recently with a client, and we say, for instance, she wasn't losing weight as she thought she should, and that again, losing weight slowly and consistently and having the patience for that is really, really hard, because we see so much in front of us of drop a jean size, which is fine, or like, and lose 10 pounds yesterday with this workout plan. And really, we need, I always say this all the time, but I feel like I just need to keep reminding it, because it keeps coming back up. So I feel like we need that gentle reminder every so often, and it's very hard to get detached when it's been hammered down your throat for so long. So hopefully, if enough people say this enough times, people will start to listen. And you don't want to break these old things. This is what what's familiar to you, but it's not serving you. So maybe familiarity is not a good thing. If you keep yo-yoing because of the familiarity, you need to change it up a little bit. Anyway, that's what I'm saying. So we were having this back and forth, and I was like, look, what you've lost is great, and you feel a bit deflated because it's not maybe as much as you thought in your head, because before you lost a lot at one go. So the whole time I was like, take a photo. Have you taken your photos? It took me weeks to get a progress photo. And when we finally got those progress photos, I put them side by side, and she was like, oh my god, the difference. Like, and I was like, yeah, exactly, this is what I've been telling you. Like, they are a best way of showing you in this scenario. Like, you may not feel like you have lost weight, and you may not have lost weight, but in the meantime, you may be building muscle. You may be, flushing some things that were out of your system a little bit, because you're moving more. And while that doesn't show up in the scales, you could be making a big difference. So I've talked about this before, and the relation of muscle and fat in the body. So, like, people say muscle weighs more than fat. No, it doesn't. Muscle is denser than fat. So a pound of muscle is going to take up less space than a pound of fat. So if you ditch a pound of fat and replace it with a pound of muscle, you're going to weigh the same, but you're going to look better. And this is like why I'm trying to always instill to people, like, take the progress photos. You can do measurements as well, like tape measurements will kind of give you an idea, if the inches, like trying on clothes, if your clothes are looser but your weight hasn't changed, surely you've made progress. Because if your jeans are bed onto you and yet suddenly they feel comfortable, like, that is a difference. But people will still be so fixated on this one element of their being, which is weight, and we're almost told, like, there's something wrong with you if you're not losing weight. And it doesn't help, because if you Google BMI, right, the first thing that comes up is the NHS UK. Fine, absolutely cool. But the next ones that come up are a BMI calculator, fine. Slimming World, HSC are there. Obesitysurgery.ie, I don't know, National Lung Blood Food, that's grand. Motivation.ie. So, like, half of these that are BMI things are hospital and medical related, which is fine. We tend to try and take trust from our doctors. And as I said, it has been a standard because they need a standard. It's just not the best standard. So they're half your options when you Google up BMI. And then the other half are people who are trying to sell you weight loss programs. So Motivation Weight Loss Clinics, Slimming World, Obesitysurgery.ie, like, it kind of, in a sense, you've got these people, like, so I suppose it'll kind of help make you think, okay, well, if the doctors think it's right, then Slimming World mustn't be wrong. But we all know Slimming World has a lot of issues. Hopefully we know about that. I won't go into it today. But, like, any of those weight loss clinics that focus solely on you losing weight, they kind of have their own issues. Like, another thing as well is, like, if you really want to lose weight really quickly, just, like, chop off a leg. I swear to God, you lose 5 kilos overnight. 5 kilos in 10 minutes. Probably a lot more, if I'm honest. Depends how big your leg is. That sounds ridiculous, right? Absolutely. Yet these are the things we focus on. And some of the stuff, like, there are some things when it comes to weight, is like, there is a chance, because of your height, you will never be a certain weight. So, or if you are, you won't be able to eat. So basically, the taller we are, the more we're going to weigh, because we've got longer bones and stuff like that is going to make you weigh more. I say we. I'm a short arse, so that's why I weigh so little. That's why I'm only 58 kilos. I'm 5'2", so I don't have the bone length. I say we in the general population. But this is why things like weight are very, very subjective per person to person, and focusing on that one thing alone can really hinder you and can be really, really, demoralizing when you're not getting the results you think you should, or the results a calculator told you, online calculator. And then obviously, as it comes from a medical background, it makes you feel like, okay, it should be right. But there's a lot more nuance in the world. There's no black and white in the world, and that comes to humans in general. That doesn't just mean when it comes to weight loss. There is no black and white. Life is in the grey, and the unfortunate thing is we are trying to make a grey object black or white, and this kind of thinking is what holds us back for so long. So, another one of those ways of knowing your progress is your strength going up. Like, if you feel stronger, if you're doing weights and stuff that you haven't done before and you haven't dropped on the scale, well, that's a sign you're getting stronger as well. So it's another great thing to think of, and people always forget about that one. Like, I've got these people coming in, and when they started, they were like rowing 6. Now they're doing 10 dumbbells, and we're trying to inch it up with them like all the time. And they feel great now that they're doing that. And again, this all gets negated because something like on the scales told them they haven't lost weight. It's just like, it's really, really, I suppose, sad to see. Because, I suppose I always like trying to hammer this home. Like, weight is just your relationship with gravity. So it's not your worth. You know what I mean? Nobody can tell what people weigh just by looking at them, and if they say they can, they're lying. I know this for a fact because I've done this on numerous occasions. I've asked people how much they think I weigh because they want to lose weight and they want to do this, that and the other, and they'll always tell me, and they're always way off. They always think I'm a lot lighter than I am, and that's okay for me because I'm comfortable in how I weigh, and I know the reason I weigh more is because I have more muscle on my body. And I'm older as well, so not older, but the older you get, you do kind of gain weight. No, it's not a mad amount, but there's just different lifestyles and things change. But like that, I says, I know there's a lot of muscle, this is what makes me heavier. People always think I weigh less because I'm lean. And the reason I weigh more is the muscle. And I feel like that surprises people a lot when I ask them, go on, so how much do I weigh? So when you're worrying about this number on the scales, you're not realising that nobody knows as well. It's like dress size. Nobody knows. Most people don't really care. And unless it's affecting your weight, is affecting your quality of life, it doesn't matter. Which a lot of people don't want to hear. Especially, that's not really a great thing for me to say, and apparently the business I'm in is supposed to be helping people with this, but it's a fact. It doesn't really matter. Unless it's affecting your health, unless it's affecting your quality of life, your weight is perfectly fine. And I think that's really important. You need to remember your worth. You're more than just a number on the scales. You are human with feelings, and you do cool stuff all the time, and people don't realise that because they're too busy looking at this number going, this is my worth, but it's not. You're worth so much more than that, and I just really want to hammer that home. And again, I suppose it just comes back because it's just seeing how disappointed people are about something like that, and that affects you because you're now being told by something that is backed by doctors that you're overweight, so surely that should be right. But really, it's not. It's too broad. It doesn't explain so much more to your life, and I I feel like so many people end up giving up because they don't get the results straight away, or they see something like this and they feel like they're wasting their time. And there's more than just going to gym and working out. Like, classes are a great community. Like, these people who come to gym, they've made friends with people they've never met before. They have a little crew, and they enjoy, like, part of it coming to, like, see their friends at the gym, and it's great to see that as well. And you'd hate that to be ruined for someone because they saw something on the scales or something like that. The BMI came up and told them that they're overweight, and they just feel like there's no point to it anymore. And it can just knock people's confidence so much. And I'd love if there was a better, I suppose, standard, but there isn't, and there probably won't be for a long time, and maybe there never will, because it's really, really hard. As I said, there's so many nuances with life. It's so hard to say what is right and what is wrong, because there is no right and wrong. There's a lot of grey. Okay, there's some very wrong stuff, but there's a lot of grey area in which most people fit into, but it's not the nice little parceled answer to everybody's question, and that's the only downside. I think that with that I'm going to leave it there. As I was saying, remember your worth. You are not a number on the scales. That sounded really sarcastic. Anyway, with that, guys, I am going to leave you. I'm going to let you ponder that. Let me know what you thought about it, and drop me a DM if you found this helpful or anything like that. I'd love to hear feedback on the podcast. Comment on the post. I just love to hear, as I said, feedback. I hope this really helped you if it's something you have been struggling with, because it would have been something that annoyed me years ago, and obviously now, like, it's one of the things I'm okay with, and I just want to help as many people as possible get out of that mindset. And if you do want to find me, you will find me on TikTok and Instagram. It's Chrissy H Fitness. And if you want to hop over onto my website and find out anything about online coaching, you will find me at www.chrissyhawkins.com. And thanks again for listening. I really, really do appreciate it. Thank you again for listening to the Why Not podcast. It really means a lot that you are listening in, and I would love if you could please leave a review on Apple Podcasts or subscribe on Spotify. And always, I'd love to hear feedback personally, so if you do want to leave me a message and let me know how you found the podcast, please do.